Hello again. Welcome back, guys. Thank you for the last video. That was a pleasant surprise. First video, 1,000 views. I was like, wow. I woke up, I was like, damn. Expecting it to be at 0, but yeah. So today I've got a sort of a story I want to share. I actually wanted to make a YouTube video on this when it happened, but now that I've got some good equipment, the story might be little bit better. And I've got receipts for this one as well, so you don't have to use your imagination. I'll sort of put the receipts up here so you can sort of understand and visualize a wee bit better just sort of what happened. And this is a story of the time I sort of stared death in the face. And have you ever heard of ego disillusion? You know, you might have heard it with people that have, take, drugs and such, and they sort of lose their sense of self. Well, I actually experienced this completely sober. It was, you'll understand by the end. So, for a bit of a backstory, a couple of years ago, I was asked to climb a Munro. And if you don't know what a Munro is, in Scotland, there are essentially classifications of big hills or mountains, right? And the Munros are the biggest. I think it's anything above 3,000 feet, and there's about 282, something like that. And so what people tend to do is, once they start climbing them, they become a Munro bagger, right? So you climb one, you bag it, right? So people climb them all. And I plan on climbing them all. I actually plan on maybe making some videos on some trips that I do eventually. But, so basically, I got asked, right, do you want to climb a Munro? I'd never done it before, but I was like, you know what, yeah, why not? And it turned out I absolutely loved it. If you asked me 2-3 years ago that I would have loved climbing mountains, I would have been like, aye, good one. But, yeah, no, I absolutely loved it. So I think right now I've done about 16. And the story I'm going to tell you is on about the 12th or 13th one. It was a double summit, so it was 2 Munros, so like you go up one, come down, but they're kind of joins, and you go up, right? So you go up to the other summit. And I never actually completed the second summit, and you're going to find out why. So I've actually got some photos here, so if I'm looking at my phone, hopefully the according photo will be up. So this one was good. I decided to do this one in my kilt because I like doing it in my kilt every now and then. It doesn't really get much more Scottish than that. And the beginning of this one was good. Most of them are like loops, right? So there's like you basically go in a big circle and then you sort of like come back to where you finish. Some aren't, but most of them are. Most of the ones that I've done. And so normally you've got like either an easier path to begin with, and then it's like you come down the steep side, or you can go up the steep side and then it's sort of, easier on the way back down. The ones we've done that are steep, I kind of like doing the steep part first because, you get the initial climb up done, and then you can kind of enjoy sort of the rest of the walk. And so this one was quite steep. Hopefully you can kind of see from the photos here. It was pretty steep. There was me sort of taking a break whilst the other 2 guys sort of caught up. And yeah, this one was going fine so far. We've got the big sort of hike done to begin with. It was tough, but once you've done it a few times, you learn to enjoy it. You enjoy the struggle of getting up. It's just part of it, right? If you're going in with the mindset of like, oh, I can't wait till I'm at the top, you kind of ruin it for yourself and everyone else that's there. And so, yeah, anyway, we got to the first summit. As I'm just flicking through the photos. Yeah, as you can see, it looked pretty cold. You couldn't really tell how cold it was because of sort of like when you're at the bottom. It's not until you get up to the top. It's crazy sometimes when you're up there how quick the weather can change as well. Yeah, it's crazy sometimes how quick the weather can change. And so this is the sort of view we had from the top. It was absolutely beautiful. The pictures don't really do it justice. Like when you're actually up there, it's something else. I think this is a video. Yeah, so this was sort of I don't think this was the first summit. This was just before the first summit. So yeah, you can see just, it was chilly. I think that's 7 Munros or something, maybe 9 in a row. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll be doing that one eventually. So we're sort of looking out onto there. And yeah, this is just sort of... Oh yeah, you can hear the wind. Oh wow, it's giving me goosebumps, sort of remembering this. Look at the light reflecting off the lake as well, that's beautiful. And was this me just going up to the top? Yeah, so this is me just getting a video sort of, oh, look at the clouds. How good they look. Wow. So yeah, so that was the first summit. It was, you know, it was easy enough, just, you know, kind of straight up. And then we went on a little bit of a walk. And if you can sort of see from this photo, this is sort of what we were starting to deal with. It was getting, I guess you'd call it like a knife's edge, right? Because, you know, the edge of a knife, it's, you know, it's really, really narrow. And I've never really done ones like this before. It was a bit kind of, you know, intimidating to look at. And yeah, so we just couldn't, you know, we marched on anyway. The weather was starting to get a bit colder. You can see by these photos, it was just, you know, you're up in the clouds. It's, you know, it's amazing. And you can see by this one, the clouds were really starting to sort of set in as well. The weather was getting colder and colder, and obviously I'm in my kilt, so my knees are exposed, right? So my knees are really starting to feel the cold. So anyway, we continue on. We actually, like, what's this video? Yeah, so you can see, like, we start to get really in the clouds, you know, to the point where you can't even really see the cliff edges on either side of you. That was a little bit intimidating as well, because you're kind of marching forward and, you know, because it's all snow, it kind of blends in with the clouds, so you don't really know how far you are from sort of the cliff edge. So you can see here, this is Ruben. This is the family dog that comes with us. And you're going to hear about Ruben a bit more in a little bit. But yeah, as you can see here, you can't really tell where the snow stops and the cloud starts. So anyway, we continue on. This is just a video just to show sort of what the weather conditions were like. It wasn't snowing too bad just there, but it was really cold. It was really, really cold. So yeah, so you can see from this photo, this is what we were sort of walking into, and initially I was really excited. I was like, oh wow, that looks really cool, we're gonna go into that, right? The giant cloud. In my naivety, I was really, really excited. I was like, oh wow, we're gonna go into that, wow. So yeah, if you can see from this video, I think I zoom in a little bit more. You can hear Ruben. So this is like, so where we just came from. And that was what we were heading up into. Now initially I was excited, but you can see from these later photos that, yeah, you can't really see what's going on. So anyway, so this is the path that we had to go. You can see it gets sort of really, really narrow. You can see from this video, yeah, you can sort of hear the wind picking up as well as we're, you know, we're getting more and more into the clouds. And I think, is that the last photo I have? And that's the last photo or video I have, because after this section, actually, I think I have a photo of, yeah, so this is what we were heading into. I got this on the way back because the weather got quite bad and there was a few really tricky bits that I completely lost all confidence on, and I'll get to that in a second. So as you can see from this photo, right, we got to this sort of like really jaggy sort of rock formation, and there was no way around this, right? So as you can see from the photo, we essentially, this big rock here was, you know, a wee bit sort of bigger than me, and either we had to scale around it or we had to climb over it. So I was like, okay, it was getting pretty, the wind was starting to pick up, it was getting a little bit snowy. This way, I don't have any videos or photos from this bit because my hands were absolutely freezing and I didn't dare take, you know, I had big thick gloves on, and even with these big thick gloves, I didn't want to take them off just because it was that cold, right? Because I knew my hands are, if they get cold, they're not heating back up, so I'm not risking frostbite here. So anyway, managed to get over that big rock, and you can probably, so you go down this little bit of rock formation, and there's a little bit of a clearing here. Now this photo doesn't really do it justice, but this little clearing was, it was sort of like a little knife's edge, and it was maybe no wider than my shoulders, right? And it was maybe, I don't know, about 8 feet in length. And on either side, it doesn't look steep there from the photo, right? But when you're walking across it, it was just a sheer drop on both sides down to the bottom. Just straight to death, right? And bear in mind, we're about 3,000 feet up. This was actually really close to the second summit. But after I crossed this little, we'll call it the plank, right? After I crossed the plank, I then proceeded to slip because it was snowy, right? But because of how cold it was just like ice underneath the snow. And the boots that I was wearing, they were sort of like just some hiking boots I got for a Christmas present a few years before. Because I never went hiking. I just got these hiking boots as a Christmas present. And let me tell you, when I got across that and then my foot sort of gave way and slipped, and I'm 1 or 2 feet away from just going straight down to the bottom, I instantly lost all confidence. I had no shred of confidence left in my footwear, in my ability to continue on. So I kind of slipped and I instantly just sort of like fell forward because there was sort of like just a little mound, like maybe twice the height of me that we had to get over to keep on going. But after that little boot slip, I lost all confidence. Like, I'm going to wait here. You guys can go on. I'm not going any further. And they were like, right, yeah, no, fine, signed. We don't know how long it would be, but they headed off. And I held Ruben, stayed with me. He just sort of sat on like a little mound. So I'm like on my back now on this big rock, and I'm just kind of digging my feet in, just trying to stay in position. And Ruben's sitting like up here next to my shoulder. And I stayed there for, I don't know, maybe half an hour. And in this half hour, my mind went to some like really, really dark places. And it probably might sound over dramatic, but when I was there, just leaning up against a rock, and bear in mind, guys, it was so, you could see like the sort of clouds, right? You couldn't see the bottom. This is the thing, you couldn't see what was happening. All I knew was that I'm on top of a mountain, and I had no confidence in my ability to move, right? Because like one wrong slip and I was straight dead, right? There's no coming back from that. If I fall, I'm fucked, I'm gone. And so I put my backhand, I'm now, because I'm like trying to lie on my back, I'm now facing the plank, right? This little narrow stretch, I'm sort of just sitting there facing that. And I'm trying to calm my mind down, because my mind is sort of panicking a little bit. It's fucking racing. And every now and then, the clouds would sort of clear. Because right now I'm just like, leaning against this rock, I'm just trying to hold myself against it, right? And every now and then the clouds would clear. And I could see how steep the drop was on either side of the plank, right? So it was like a little knife's edge, and either side was literally, once the clouds cleared every now and then, I could just see straight to the bottom. Like I was at the top and I could just see straight to the bottom. And if I sort of like gave way and I slipped, right, say, like you've ever been like sledging and such, and you like slide down on your bum, that's what the ground was sort of getting like the snow was compact down because we'd like been walking across it and such, so it was quite slidey. So if I slid down and I went towards this plank and I couldn't stop, I'm just going straight off the edge. And so every now and then the clouds would sort of clear, and I would just be, I had nowhere else to look, and I could just see straight to the bottom. And I've never wanted to not be somewhere so badly in my life. And it was like, like say like if you get into like an embarrassing situation, right? I don't know, I don't know, you pissed yourself in public, right? At least you can walk away from that situation, right? You can leave at any time you want. But I couldn't leave. I was up against this rock, and no matter how much I didn't want to be there, there was nothing I could do about it. The only way to get off is to go back the way we came, right? And my mind went to like some just like really, really dark places. I was fully aware that I could die right now. And yeah, but just all the sort of thoughts that come with that, I started thinking about all the people in my life, and just, how much, like, I started to think of like all the, you hear about people dying on Everest and such, and it was just like, okay, I understand it now. I completely understand it, how it could happen. But at the time, I was very much just thinking that I don't want this to happen. I don't want to just be a statistic. And I was thinking about, just all the people in my life, how, I want to see them again. I started thinking, because the weather was getting really bad at this point, it was like kind of snowing as well. So, my mind was racing, and it was like, it felt like I was there for hours. I don't actually know how long it was, because, I didn't dare, because my hands were freezing, because they were just holding onto the rock, right? So I didn't dare, get my phone out, or try and take some videos. So I was like, right, I've got to like preserve my heat. And like the thoughts crossed my mind, like, how long do I wait until I have to presume the worst? Because it felt like I was there for so long, but this is the kind of thoughts that were going through my head. And all the while, Ruben is sitting there right next to me, right? And he's sitting there just shivering. And I'm just like, I'm fearing for my life, and I'm just, looking at Ruben like, hey, it's okay. Fuck. Poor Ruben. And going back to sort of the ego sort of disillusion thing, I was very, very aware that I was just an animal, right? I wasn't thinking about Carl or his life problems or anything. I was so aware that I was just a dumb little animal up on top of a massive rock. And there's been heaps of times when I've done them where, we've come across like, sheep bones and such. And I was very, very aware that I'm just an animal. Those sheep that lost their lives on top of the mountains, they were animals. Nothing makes me more special in this situation, And yeah, I was just sat there staring at this edge. I don't know. I don't actually know how long I'm going to say, about half an hour. Just staring at, you're trying to look everywhere else, but, where are you going to look? You're on top of a fucking mountain. And yeah, it was dark. It was, I don't know if you can call it sobering. Like, I was sober doing it, but I wasn't like, all the problems that I had in my life were very, very insignificant in that moment, because my life was now on the line. You know what I mean? Just ensuring I survived this was now the biggest problem in my life, and the only problem. All the little things that had sort of gathered up before that, all of a sudden, they didn't really matter. They didn't really matter. And I sort of said to myself, I actually said a little prayer. I was just like, if I get off this, I'm going for it. It's weird that when you're almost met with the end of your life, you become very, very aware of the importance of just living. And I completely understand, with some people, they've had sort of like near-death experiences, and then, that just kind of kicks them into gear. And this was one of them for me. This is a memory that's never going to leave me, And just really sort of contemplating this, like, I might not make it off of this. I was like almost filled with like regret and sadness for all the things I hadn't done. Because I was met with, I might not get a chance to do those things. So this is why I'm making this video, you know. Should have made it sooner, but you know, maybe now is the right time. You know, I've got the equipment and such, so the quality's gonna be a bit better, and I've got a bit more practice speaking into a camera. So yeah, that was sort of like what went through my mind over that stretch. I was just trying to keep my mind calm, but I mean, it's hard to in that situation, you know. Just trying to sit and just, you know, focus on my breathing. But every time I open my eyes, it's just certain death. Anyway, the weather kind of cleared up a little bit. The clouds sort of dissipated. You know, the wind and the snow sort of went away. I was absolutely freezing. Bear in mind I was in my kilt, but luckily somebody had a pair of trousers that they gave to me before they continued on, so it wasn't too bad. But still, my knees were starting to actually give out because I was trying to prop myself up against this rock, you know, and I was sliding a little bit. And yeah, eventually, I don't actually know how long passed, they came back, and yeah, the weather actually cleared up after that. It was really, really nice. We went back, we walked across the plank. I just sort of marched past it. I was like, fucking get me off of this. And then we went back over the rock before that I had to climb over. This time I actually scaled around the side of it, which was when there's nothing against your back and it is literally like you lean back and you're straight down to the bottom. Bit scary, so like, wait, so that, I've put a photo up, that was what was sort of scaled around. You can see, you know, there's a kind of little edge that you can go around. Whew! Yeah, the adrenaline. So this is what it looked like afterwards. After I just had that sort of really harrowing experience of thinking, right, am I actually going to survive here? This is how beautiful it got. And yeah, so these are just sort of some of the photos I got afterwards. It was amazing. This is a sort of a video. So yeah, you can see the sort of clouds. That was like the kind of clouds that we were in. You know, it was, yeah, look how beautiful it looks there. You know, and yeah, this is something I've never really talked about, but yeah, we complete that. I never made, I will have to go back one day and complete that summit because I didn't actually complete it, so I didn't finish it. Never know, might bring you guys and you'll understand the the sort of memory behind that. But yeah, well, that is a memory that will stick with me forever. And I actually remember, see, when I got down, see, just when you're met with something as intense as that, just see the little things in life. See, even just seeing my partner again, I was so grateful just to see them again, because I thought, you know, the thought crossed my mind that I'm never going to see them again. And even the little things, like I think, like I went to the toilet and I went on Facebook on my phone whilst I was on the toilet. And even that just brought me so much joy because I thought I was never going to get to do that again. And this is weird because like once you've been through something like this, you can call upon that memory when you're feeling a little bit ungrateful. And this is what actually I did before making this video. I remembered it and I was like, I said to myself, I'm just going to start doing things, you know? Because I remember that feeling, it was like a sinking feeling in my stomach. I was like, you know, like my heart dropped. I was like, I'm never going to get to do all the things I wanted to do. You know? And I was just sat there just, you know, considering, am I going to make it off this? So, what can you sort of take away from this? Just do the things that you want to do. It's not until, you know, hopefully you won't have to, hopefully you can learn from my experience. You don't have to go through something like this. I can completely understand, you know, I actually remember seeing a study recently about regrets of dying people. And the number one regret was that they regret not having the courage just to be themselves and do what they wanted to do. And I can understand that, you know, obviously I'm not dying, but I was in a situation where I thought I'm no longer going to have the opportunity to even do these things. And it really, like this sinking feeling of regret, that's something I never want to feel again. So, that's why, you know, I'm starting a business, I'm starting to make YouTube videos. But yeah, just do the things you want to do, and hopefully you won't have to be a silly monkey stuck on top of a mountain to understand the importance of, living now, making the most of now. All the problems I had before all of a sudden just meant absolutely nothing when I was faced with death, So focus on what you can do now, essentially. That's sort of the ending to this video. So that's the end, guys. I hope you enjoyed. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but it was one that sort of really stuck out. I don't know. I plan on taking you guys on sort of some Munros. Just because some of the stuff is beautiful. So that's sort of like plans I have further down the line. But for now, it'll just be me speaking into a camera. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Ruben made it off for the animal lovers. Ruben was completely fine. He just he just made the experience a little bit more stressful, having him just right here in my face, and I'm trying not to have a complete mental breakdown. So yeah, that's I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. It was it was fun making this video. So thank you.